Hello, I'm Joe, and The Protector is actually pretty good. I want to take you back to the mid-2000s. John Cena and Edge were in the midst of a legendary feud. Soulja Boy wound up telling us all, and Tony Jaa had next. So growing up, I was rocking, and still to this day rock heavily with martial arts films and Hong Kong film in general. To illustrate how deep this love went, I remember having a crush on a girl in high school, and my idea of game was letting her borrow a copy of John Woo's seminal film, Hard Boiled. When she gave it back to me and told me she thought the Boondock Saints was better, I completely lost interest. And I would do the same thing today, goddammit. Whether it's what the Shaw Bros and Sonny Chiba were doing in the 70s, Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung going off in the 80s, or Donnie Yen and Jet Li just completely changing the game in the 90s, most of these martial arts films were coming from Hong Kong cinema. While each director and actor had their own specific styles and stylistic flourishes, in general, Hong Kong action film had a certain cadence and rhythm that fans had come to expect over time. This house-style sort of feel of Hong Kong cinema only became more pronounced after Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon became a massive international success in the early 2000s. As a result, the wuxia style just was in full force, and director Zhang Yimou particularly went off with this style, from Jet Li's Hero, House of Flying Daggers, and Curse of the Golden Flower. If you haven't seen any of these films, I urge you to seek them out. You're gonna have a fucking elegant time, I'm telling ya. So martial arts films had become balletic, graceful, and you're just used to these dense visual tapestries with which the hand throwing was taking place. And then in 2004, this came out of nowhere. Yo, I remember seeing trailers for Ong-Bak on G4 and Adult Swim and losing my mind as a 7th grader because I cannot possibly fathom what I was seeing. Now mind you, at this age I was busy giving my computer cybersyphilis, downloading episodes of Tenjo Tenge and Serial Experiments Lane, but the hits in Ong-Bak were next level. Like, I'd seen some shit, but I hadn't seen that shit. Especially as a fan of martial arts film, the brutality completely caught me off guard. Like, I couldn't imagine a world where the actors in Ong-Bak were taking those kinds of hits and just walking away from it. Like, those people got fucked up. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. In my 12-year-old eyes, yeah, god damn. You ever just realize, like, time keeps flowing, and then the weight of your 31 years just suddenly crashes upon you? You got to see that happen to a man. Anyway, martial arts. Ong-Bak was essentially the Raid of 2004. While it didn't become a massive crossover success like Crouching Tiger, it definitely made waves amongst action junkies and martial arts connoisseurs, similar to what happened with the Raid. Another similarity is that while the Raid showcased the little-known Indonesian martial art of Silat, Ong-Bak was the film that put Muay Thai and Thai culture on display, which I know, like, now you hear Muay Thai, you see UFC, you think it's commonplace, but before Ong-Bak, unless you were really into, like, combat sports, it wasn't something that was really popular here stateside. Real talk, I'm about to just look at my script right now because I gotta say some names that I really don't want to butcher, especially because one of them died, and I just, I thought it'd be really disrespectful. So, with that, after Ong-Bak was released and well received, the team of Jaa, director Pracha Pakal, and fight choreographer / Jaa's mentor, the sadly deceased Pana Ridakai, reunited for Tom Yong-gun, or just known in the States, The Protector. The Protector doesn't get talked about as much as the Ong-Bak movies, which I think is a shame because this movie goes hard. I remember seeing this in the theater when I was 14 years old with my old buddy Stacy, and both of us losing our mind at just the caliber of hands being thrown. Unfortunately, this movie was released by the Weinstein Company, and those gross-ass dudes had a tendency of re-editing foreign films because they somehow thought they could make them better. They didn't. So I can't judge the original, Tom Yong-gun cut. I've only seen the stateside one. That's the only one I think is readily available here. But even with those shitty re-edits, it's still a pretty solid movie. But before we get into why The Protector is actually pretty good, first, a message from our sponsors, aka me. If you dig this content and want more of it, please give the channel a subscribe. It would mean a lot to us. I love making these videos. I hope you enjoy watching them. The more folks to subscribe, the more I could put into it, and the more we can make something cool here. Additionally, if you enjoy this content and want more of it, please consider giving our Substack a subscribe. It's a weekly newsletter. It comes out every Friday. I write it. It's essays about movies that I really, really love. All you gotta do is type in your email and they'll be delivered straight to your inbox every Friday at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. East Coast time if you happen to be an East Coast fan. Shout out to the East Coast. So please, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Substack. Your support means a lot. And with that, back to the video, already in progress. The Protector opens with an explanation of an ancient Thai tradition where a group of people watch over the king's war elephants. This has been a duty that's been passed down from generation to generation, and Tony Jaa's character, Kam, is the last of his family bestowed with this honor, and he watches over the elephants pork pie and corn. Obviously, Kam takes great pride in caring for these elephants, and he's none too pleased that after taking his elephants to a New Year's Eve festival, of all things, a member of parliament, a freaking government official, assists a group of poachers in stealing his elephants. So obviously, Tony Jaa ain't gonna let that slide. Kam tracks the poachers down, and we just get right into the hand-throwing, immediately reestablishing the brutal, bone-crunching Muay Thai that Tony Jaa would become known for. The fight escalates into a chase on boat. We've got boats flying through billboards, destroying riverfront property, even blowing up a propane tank. Off jump, you can already tell that this is a glossier, more higher budget take of the Ong-Bak formula, in which Tony Jaa goes to some foreign city to whoop all kinds of ass and take back something that was stolen from him in the process. So after the boat chase, he finds out those elements have been taken to Sydney, so Kam boards a plane, goes to a foreign city to beat all kinds of ass and take the elephants that were stolen from him. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Upon arriving in Sydney, Kam immediately gets into some shit after this thief holds him hostage. A couple of cops, including this dude, Mark, remember that? He's Mark, it's gonna be important. They try to defuse the situation, but off-brand Roger Federer over here, aka Vincent, comes through and immediately establishes he's a corrupt detective by straight up shooting this dude. A chase scene ensues, Vincent's about to kill Tony Jaa, and then Mark comes through like, nah man, I'ma take the place. Clearly you want some neck shit. Kam gets arrested and he's generally chill in the police cruiser until he sees Johnny, the guy who took his elephants, chilling outside the Tom Yum Goon restaurant. Hey, that's the title of the movie. He tries to convince the cops to arrest Johnny, but they don't want to hear it, so he starts doing his Tony Jaa thing and wrecks the car and escapes. He confronts Johnny, who couldn't give two damns about some bummed-out crutchy boy. His words, not mine. Johnny sicks his goons on Kam, who makes quick work of them and even beats the shit out of his light post to get information on where he's going next. That light post didn't do a damn thing. You call yourself a hero. So Johnny's at his hideout, about to do a sketchy drug deal, obviously, when Kam shows up. The buyers get freaked out, which obviously upsets Johnny, so, of course, he summons his army of BMX bandits to square up. Where's Zach from Clockstoppers when you need him? So begins the second big set piece, and Tony Jaa is just going off. There are so many trailer shots in this sequence alone, from the initial dual knee takedown, to Kam dodging BMXs left and right, to the wall run and flipping over the ATV. Like, that scene alone is what got my 14-year-old ass in the seat, I'll tell you what. And honestly, this sequence in the hands of a lesser director or talent could have been hokey as hell, but it works. And after this sequence, the movie goes into its cool down period, and the story really starts to sag. If there's one big flaw here, is that everything outside of Tony Jaa's driving force is just a little convoluted and falls flat. Obviously, something could have been lost in translation, but a lot of it just doesn't work for me. But again, this movie was heavily recut, so there's a good chance that maybe the initial version just flows better, but for me, all the side stuff just feels tertiary. So after the fight, Kam passes out in the alley because beating ass takes it out of you. He's found by Pla, a sex worker, who takes him home and makes sure he's safe. While Kam's resting, she goes off to do a dance for the police commissioner, and can I just say, I love the just off-brand R&B that's present in martial arts films and just low budget movies in general. Like, anytime a movie comes through with a track that sounds like it should have been one of the sex scenes in the room, I'm here for it. Give me that room core R&B. During this salacious meeting, the police commissioner is killed, and not Roger Federer blames it on Mark, and it's a whole thing. And quite honestly, I usually just check out during this period, so for your sake and mine, we're going to fast forward to the next big set piece. Kam finally gets access to the Tom Yum-goon restaurant and begins to beat everyone's ass. This sequence here is the showstopper. It's a 4-minute tracking shot up a long-ass spiral staircase, and Tony Jaa is just beating ass in the most inventive way possible. You got the standard Muay Thai arm breaking style, but you also got some of the environmental work that you see in the Jackie Chan films. And this sequence really is just like a love letter to so many martial arts movies, all wrapped up in 4 minutes. It is, if you don't watch anything else from this movie, just Google this set piece and be in awe. Wait, not now. Finish the video, dude. Fuck. Like, come on, you're only halfway through it. Once Kam gets to the top of the staircase, he realizes that he's in a high-end restaurant that serves exotic and endangered animals to rich people, because, you know, rich people fucking suck. Of course they'd want to eat, like, a scorpion or some shit. Like, they have no souls. You think they care about eating, I don't know, Bambi? Well, people hunt deer all the time. You think they care about eating Marty from Madagascar? Probably not. After Kam takes in the horror of his surroundings, Johnny pulls up with his gang and starts to taunt him with Korn's bell, and I'm just like, have you not been watching the same movie I am? Like, this nigga has fucked up everybody that's been in his path, and you think it's a good idea to taunt him with the bell of the animal he came here to get? Like, I would just go home. I would just give him the elephant and go home after seeing what he did on the staircase, but you know what? I'm not a character in this movie. So, they fight. Tony Jaa obviously wins. He goes into a storage container and he finds Mark, who was like, they're gonna frame the police killing on him or something, and it's like a conspiracy with some gangsters that Johnny works for, and well, he basically saves Mark and the elephant. And that's all you need to know. So Kam, Korn, and Mark go to a monastery to hide out for a little bit. They're about to take off, but they're like, you know what, maybe that's not a good idea, because what if they come for us and like hurt the people there? And sure enough, Vincent and his dudes go to the monastery, set it on fire, do a bunch of just bad guy shit. So now Tony Jaa got to fight. He goes into like one of the main rooms, and then this guy shows up. And if you ever watch a martial arts movie and you see a dude with dreads, 11 times out of 10 he knows capoeira. Oh, you don't believe me? You want some evidence? All right. Exhibit A. Exhibit B. Exhibit C. I rest my case, Your Honor. Kam goes toe-to-toe with the capoeira dude. It's a pretty fun fight, but of course, he takes him out. He thinks he's done, but nah. This wushu-ass motherfucker comes through with the sword, and then they get into like a weapons fight that, again, pretty impressive. But of course, Kam takes him out, because I mean, like, he's Kam. Like, he's not gonna get his ass beat by you. If there's one thing I really like about the sequence, is that it showcases both a variety of styles as well as Jaa's versatility as a performer. Like, you go from him taking on a capoeira dude to taking on a sword fighter. Like, it's really cool. Like, it's a really inventive sequence. And if there's one thing I like about this movie, is that each one of the set pieces has kind of its own little through line going through it. So Kam takes out the sword wielding dude, and he's like, I'm done, right? Wrong. Guess who shows up? Goldberg! Kam tries to take on this big meaty man, but he ain't got enough man meat to do it. He's on the verge of getting his shit wrecked when Mark eventually pulls up and saves his ass. Kam finds out that his elephants were taken to a gang leader by the name of Madame Rose, so of course he and Korn make a fierce walk to go confront this Rose and find Korn's mom. Or dad. It's not really clear. Korn's parent. How about that? Could be a non-binary elephant. I don't know. So they pull up to a banquet hall where Madame Rose is holding a press conference, and then Korn just goes through and starts wrecking shop. Kam pulls up. He's like taking out gangster after gangster because he knows Tony Jaa. That's how he gets down. After taking out the gangsters, Kam enters a large room, and that's where he sadly finds the skeleton of poor Kai. It's been entrusted with jewels and given to Madame Rose as a gift. He's clearly devastated, but that doesn't matter to Madame Rose's goons, who are just still throwing hands and feet at the guy.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga! Fight back!
Eventually, Calm does indeed fight back, and takes out an impressively large group of dudes. There are so many takedowns in this sequence that had me audibly yelling, "God damn!" in my living room. Like, I just... some of these hits, like that, you know? After Calm breaks everybody's body, Goldberg returns and he's got some more big meaty men to back him up. It was one thing when he had to fight Goldberg, but now you got Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman in here. Calm ain't got a chance. He gets thrown into Porkey's skeleton and 2 of the legs fall off. While in an ass-beaten delirium, I guess, he has a flashback to one of the lessons his, I assume, father taught him about how to beat a nigga's ass. Specifically, going for their vital tendons. So he takes the legs, wraps them around his forearms, and then begins to use them to slice the tendons of all the big, meaty men. It's a pretty impressive set piece. Madame Rose sees that she's really about to take an L, so she tries to dip and escape on a helicopter. Calm says, nah, and my man runs up to this helipad, yeets himself off the helipad, and freaking tackles old girl off the helicopter with his knees into the room below. I remember losing my mind as a kid because, like, how? Do you know how mad you have to be at someone to fucking knee tackle them off a helicopter? Not even knowing if you're gonna survive the fall? That's having a different kind of dog in you. Like, yeah, couldn't be me. Could not be me. I would just be like, well, I guess she got away to live another day. Porkey's tusks somehow break Calm's fall, and I'm assuming Madame Rose is just, like, dead. Everything gets wrapped up with the police conspiracy shit, and Calm goes back home with Corn. The end. So now that you know what it's about, let's talk about why it bangs. So as I said, the plot is doing a little too much. In my opinion, the simpler story, the better, especially when it comes to a martial arts movie. While the Raid 2 is the exception to this rule, I generally am more a fan of something like Fatal Contact, where it's a guy who needs to make money, so he goes to an underground fighting ring to make that money. Like, you know, the stakes are simple, clear, and it paves the way for just great action. That being said, I'm not here for the damn story. I'm here to see hands being thrown, and the Protector delivers that in spades. While Ong-Bak was an incredible introduction for Tony Jaa, The Protector is the movie that establishes Tony Jaa was, and arguably still is, him. It's a glossier, higher budgeted take on the Ong-Bak formula, but it doesn't lose the sauce that made that movie hit so hard. The fight choreography is fantastic, and it's made all the better at Bical's direction. The Protector came out as shaky cam was getting more and more popular in Western films, and directors thought that having a seizure behind the camera and chopping into pieces meant action, so it was refreshing seeing a director actually know how to shoot compelling action sequences. After The Protector, some of Jaa's films were just inconsistent in their quality. The Ong-Bak sequels had some good fight scenes, but generally weren't my type of hype. I do think some of his straight-to-DVD work, specifically Triple Threat, has been pretty good. He kind of disappeared for a little bit. I know he went to a monastery, and I know he had some weird contract disputes with his production company, ranging from like Furious 7. But he has been in some American blockbusters, like the aforementioned Furious 7 and the upcoming Expendables 4, but he never quite reached the same heights as like a Jackie Chan, a Jet Li, or even more recently Donnie Yen in the West. And I think that's a shame, because Tony Jaa is arguably one of the best to ever do it. Like, the impact he made with his first 2 movies cannot be understated. So if you haven't seen Ong-Bak and you haven't seen The Protector, I highly recommend you watch them. I watched The Protector for free on Tubi, so you ain't gotta pay nothing to stream it. You can just go on and watch it as soon as this video is done. It's worth your time, I promise you. So with that, I'm Joe, and you should experience wonder.